we talk a lot about trends and how fast fashion cycles are. Fashion forecasting, which is a silent part of fashion industry. And the question is, how do they know what we will want to wear? And a short answer is, who fucking cares? Wear what you want. You're welcome. Bye. No, actually, I was thinking about how we differentiate trends and micro trends, where it all started, where it's going. Basically, I'm just writing an article now and I'm just using this video as a draft, maybe just to be more opinionated. So basically, I think big misconception about trends is that people working with forecasting use this, I don't know, some fashion crystal ball, and all they decide on what will be trendy, when actually it's one of the most data-based scientific branches of fashion. Changing trends basically act as an indicator who we are and how we live and how do we feel about the world surrounding us. All our purchase decisions are monitored, and every one of us has this box somewhere in a database that contributes to the whole research, the whole systematic market analysis. So when we are talking about a product, professionals know what product is being returned how many times, and what product and what color and what size is being repurchased. You know the drill. The practice of tracking and forecasting trends started, a bit of history, it will not be boring, I promise, started in the United States in 1915 by specialist Margaret Hayden Rourke. And basically she would find out what colors will be produced by French textile mills, because the France at that time, creme de la creme, and she would create color cards to distribute to US manufacturers. So she's just the OG Pantone girl. I think I don't need to mention that the early trends would be traced back to the royalty, especially in Asia and Europe. When we are thinking about Henry VIII and these slashed sleeves, very puffy, and it dominated the fashion world after that. Marie Antoinette and her muslin sash dresses, and these were the first celebrities. It seems so far away, but we were living on the same pattern for a very long time, and this is something that is called trickle-down effect, when the trend is created on the upper social class and then it goes down, reaching the lower levels. We cannot compare the privileges we have now to follow and to acquire the trendy items of the nobility of today. Let's say this, not Meghan Markle, the other one, the wife, the Duchess of the brother. Oh my god, I'm so bad with modern day royals. Catherine. She wore this Zara necklace and it was viral story and it was sold immediately. So if you are unlucky enough to live in the times of Louis XIV, there would be sumptuary laws that would restrict some colors or materials or items to the nobility. So if you want these red heel shoes, no, not for you. And the more restrictions there are and the more rules, the more honored you feel. Fast forward to our times, one of the most influential factors of our trends and changing fashion is political and economical climate. During the times of conflict and the war, fashion trends also adopted elements of military design, sometimes for a purpose of practicality and sometimes as a gesture of support. And here I want to mention a very recent event actually, when Zelensky visited White House and he met Trump, and he was questioned so much why he's not wearing a suit, because he was clad in a military off-duty army green colored casual wear. And of course his answer was that he will wear a suit when the war will be over. And practical reasons would be, if we take a look at World War I, men participated in the war, women's presence in labor were growing. They were allowed to enter many jobs for the first time in history and gained economic independence. Thank you, women. Now I have to go to work. Designers focused on ready-to-wear, very easy-to-wear clothing like these pullover blouses without any fastening, and khaki color was very popular because it was also color of the military. In a Second World War, we took a step even further into this practicality, and a lot of designers started to work on these very functional styles, like suits with big slouchy pockets where you can actually fit gas mask or practical footwear to change after your work day. After the war, and this is my favorite part, this shows how gaslighting bitch fashion is, Dior's new look revolutionized this masculine wartime suits and introduced something we haven't seen for a very, very long time: hourglass shaped dresses. These dresses we all love to the core. I find it very beautiful, of course, but what is behind? Because it wasn't just for love of women, it has very, very strong reasoning behind. And it was because this radical change, it just reflected this desire or the need, because men came back from war and they entered the job market, and this need to return to traditional roles. Women are no longer needed in the factories, and they have more than enough time to sit at home, cook, make breakfast for children and for husband. And you know, the war is over, restrictions are lifted, we can use as much fabric as we want. And you know, talking about this empowerment, the opposite happened in 80s. Can you imagine that 80s and 60s, like Dior times 50s, 60s, are as close to one another as we are to 2000s now? I was born in 80s. 89, but still. The power suit with these very powerful shoulders appeared as a number of working women increased. According to the online exhibition by the International Museum of Women, there is a museum like that, it is something that can be acquired and put on, and something that can be stripped away. The power suit is akin to armor, outfitting a woman to do battle in a predominantly male world. And if we are traveling even closer to our times, this is a sensitive topic to some, but still, 9/11, do you remember this boom of American flags on items after that? I grew up in Lithuania and we didn't have stores for clothing. We would go to markets. And I remember that was a huge thing. And at that time, the consumption of luxury goods just dipped, went to hell basically. Under pessimistic economic conditions, consumers tend to sacrifice their needs, their desire for luxury goods. And I mean, look at the graphs of Kering and LVMH. Our economic situation is not very secure right now, wherever are you in the world. And you can see that a lot of people are looking for alternatives, and shops like COS got very, very popular in the last times. So anyways, I just wanted actually to talk about micro trends, and I ended up yapping about war. A micro trend among fashion professionals for all our lives were referred to as a fad. So basically it's something that is very short-lived, up to 6 months, usually available or desired by a very small amount of innovators. That's what it's called. And this is what separated from a trend. A fad or micro trend is not a trend. Usually a single item is normally enough to satisfy consumers' need to feel fashionable. Usually it's very quirky or novelty products, very, very limited usefulness and appeal to the majority of consumers. Think about everything you see on Instagram basically. Puff skirts, these micro shorts with ruffles, dresses over pants, you name it. Whereas trend usually is something that can last up to 5 years, and it's being adopted by almost everyone before becoming uncool, and it has a huge potential to become a long-term trend which can define our generation. And when I think about that, you know, the best example I think is skinny jeans. A lot of people try to get rid of this narrative for a very, very long time, and you know what, I still see it on the streets. It doesn't matter what you see on Instagram. By the way, Instagram, Pinterest, everywhere, where fads live, or microtrends if you will. It's like parallel universe. The thing is that these trendy pieces, they are usually made to look good on camera. They are not wearable, they are not practical. Nobody dresses like that, literally. Like when you're on Instagram, you can think that everybody has these micro shorts, and I never see them on the streets. The only one that I would think that would qualify as a trend versus a fad is ballet core, because you know, it did something to effortless elegance, which I think is very matchable with our athleisure wear. And athleisure wear, I think when we are talking about trends, not cores, athleisure wear, it's something that defines our generation. This break happened during Corona times because a lot of people invested more money in soft, comfy materials, and it became central part of our lives, because even how we used to work, we didn't have face-to-face contact a lot. So the main factor deciding our purchases were the, you know, the sensation, the feeling of the body, and how our body reacts to the material. And I think that is something we are not getting rid of. And I think that's why ballet core grew into trend, because it kinda complements this lifestyle we have. It has a lot to do with active lifestyle, comfort, and I mean, Miu Miu made it aesthetically pleasing. I will die on this hill, but I think that micro trends or cores, oh my god, this makes me sick. What the fuck is core? It's dying because we kind of have a fatigue of these choices. It's moving so fast, and somebody like me who bans Pinterest from their life has no idea what's on top anymore. On the other hand, our economical situation kind of makes us gravitate towards something that might last longer. Funny thing about micro trends is that these days it's very product oriented, as in before it was the full picture. You know, I remember when I was a teenager, we had this huge era of neon colors, and while adopting this trend, this fad, you could create a lot of different styles, a lot of different aesthetics. Whereas now, take it gorpcore and, you know, all these jerseys, and it's everything very, very similar because the product is the same. I think the first example I remember is this, I don't know if it's first micro trend of this product-based core, but do you remember the strawberry dress? It used to be a huge thing. And I think to be a part of this ever-moving micro trend fad society, it's very expensive. Probably it's more expensive than buying actually luxury goods. We don't even know the lifespan of these clothes before it's been gotten rid of. Ellen MacArthur Foundation, I just read it, that average wear of a garment, it's 7 to 10 times. How fucking expensive is that? And I think we have this aesthetic imperative currently, because aesthetic aspect is the most important part of everything in our lives now. Whereas before, if you're looking for a garment, quality might be a deciding factor. Now it's aesthetics. And I think this is very, very broad topic because it reaches all the segments of our life. Take, for example, of the cosmetic surgeons and nail studios, and it just became such a commodity. And you know, fast fashion brands, I think they are really taking advantage of that. And talking about forecasting, of course, every company either has a forecasting department in-house or they are outsourcing and using the services like WGSN, but they are desperate to be able to offer you everything possible, whatever core you want to be. And they actually experience, and now I'm talking about US because I was trying to find information but I couldn't, so these numbers I'm talking about, they are about US, experience large errors in their sales forecasts. It's a lot of financial loss, of course, but I think this is what they choose to do to be on top. And I found a very old study from 2008 that says that retailers losing basically 200 billion per year due to these forecast errors. And then I was trying to find something of a new information. And I just found that in 2024 it was reported that there are 80 to 150 billion garments made annually, and up to 40% of them never get sold. What about the trend that we are literally burning? But I think this might change, and this is another very influencing factor, Trump's tariffs, because it kind of opens up for more doors for resellers, for example, and the real is getting more and more popular in US now. It's being said that when the economy is doing great and the fashion is getting more extravagant, and when it's doing poorly, consumers are more conservative with their preference and don't do much of impulse buying. When the economy is doing good, the fashion speeds up and the fashion slows when economy is doing bad. And I don't think that we should include these fads or micro trends in the whole cycle of fashion. When we are talking about ever faster growing fashion, we are not talking about these trends on TikTok. Unpopular hot take maybe, I don't know. I don't think that fashion is moving faster than ever. Quite the opposite. And this is what I told you about the economic and the fashion slows down. And London Fashion Week decided that in June they will not have men's fashion week. It's self-evident. And we are hearing about dips in sales from Kering and LVMH. In 2008, when we were in a global recession, the luxury segment dropped in total 28% or something crazy, and it was in the MasterCard report. So good news is that probably it's not creative directors' fault that now we are all experiencing this dip in revenue. Bad news is that we might be in fucked up times. And just for fun, if we are looking into these micro trends, it seems so chaotic and so random, it's not possible to forecast, but we can, try to forecast the bigger trends of the world we are living now. And I think we see a lot of this military influence, this combat kits, and it's combined with punk, so it kind of becomes a voice of resistance. And here we can always look to Comme des Garçons, all the roads lead to, right? Charles, Jeffrey Loverboy, Junya Watanabe, and at the same time, as a result of this internet brain rot, we see a lot of this whimsical style. It's reflecting ironic internet culture, maybe nostalgia for childhood, and it kind of offers us escapism, because the world for some of us might look very grim right now. Here again we can look for Undercover, Duran Lanting, Walter van Werendonck. I also see this influence of menswear, and I think the best example of that was our last Met Gala theme, but this tailoring is just everywhere, even if you look in Givenchy by Sarah Burton, Tom Ford. I feel like this is also a long-lasting trend, and it just lingers and it doesn't go away. In general, I think the defining look of key eras tend to come back again about 20 years afterwards. So I remember when I just started to study fashion, late 80s look was very, very popular. And for example, now it's Y2K. And if you are worried that the horrible, terrible, ugly, disgusting 2010 looks will come back, they will. It's just in different form, and we will think, oh my god, that's amazing, and Y2K, it's so cringy. All the things we are talking about are perceived through very individual cultural perspective. European brands tend to modify their color story to American consumer, because generally, statistically, Americans like brighter, less complex colors, whereas Europeans tend to wear more deeper, darker, neutral. And this is very funny, actually. Maybe it's not funny, just an anecdote. And I was listening to this I was listening to this podcast by two girls, and they were referring to this European style, and I was like, what is European style? What is European style? And then I checked to these influencers they were referring to, and I just saw that it was very Scandinavian, very minimal, and it was for me very funny to hear that they refer to it as European style, because I don't relate to that at all, and I've never thought about that, but oh well. And actually, I am referencing this a lot. It's a very old book actually, written in 2011 by 2 Kims and 1 Fiore. Huge recommendation for fashion professionals. Even though it's very old, it still has a lot of statistics and explanations and tables and case studies. It's more about forecasting not only trends but also sales and positions in the, you know, in the structure, and about textile trends and, you know what I mean, all that stuff that has to do something with analysis. And if you are interested more in this topic, I think it's very important for you to keep an eye on Premiere Vision. It's, I think, the biggest textile trade show in the world, and it's taking place in Paris twice a year, like Fashion Week. And the vendors of textiles, they usually have, you know, prototypes. I've never been there because I don't see a purpose. When I used to do my designs, I was planning to, but luckily I didn't pursue this career choice. Also, I mentioned before WGSN, which is Worth Global Style Network, and it's a leading trend forecasting company, and they also have very good videos, so maybe you want to take a look into that too. If you are interested, there are some publications with, wait, I saw it in library. There are publications that are called, what is it? Oh yeah, Viewpoint magazine. I saw it in the library and I took a quick look. It's huge, huge magazine. And you know, like, normal human response is to say, I don't care about trends, I don't care about what's trendy. But that's why for me it was very important to differentiate these fads, microtrends, and trend that defines our zeitgeist, that defines our generation, because we become part of that, we want it or not. If we are buying from Vestiaire, Vinted, we are a part of that trend that is moving towards resale, towards sustainability, maybe because there's a lot of being produced. If we are buying into more comfortable apparel, then we are part of this trend that our lifestyles are becoming more fast, rapid paced. Just that I'm wearing a t-shirt, it's also because I'm a part of a trend. It's because during World War I, soldiers were wearing cotton undergarments and Hollywood made it trendy. And in 60s, printing was invented and it became a good way to spread a message, to spread revolution. So you cannot say that you are not a part of trends, because they are as vital as fashion is, and it defines who we are and how we see the world around us. Okay, I think that's enough. Bye.